everybody. Brian David Marshall coming to you from the Tournament Center here at Pro Tour Journey into Nix in Atlanta. I'm joined by Craig Wescoe, a block Pro Tour champion, and someone who's going to talk to us about playing White Weenie in this Theros block constructed format. Deal or Ordeal, is that what the deck is called?
Deal or no Ordeal.
Deal or no Ordeal.
It's a white aggro deck based around the Ordeal Thassa and Ordeal of Heliod.
Okay, and so, you know, you're playtesting with Team TCG Player.
Yep.
And
TCG Player.
You guys, I mean, is it just a foregone conclusion that you're going to play a White Weenie deck?
Yes is the short answer, but
longer answer?
Yeah, that's my job on the team, is to figure out what the best White Weenie deck is, so that if it is actually the best deck, then the whole team plays it, and when it's not, it's just me playing it.
So are you saying this is not the best deck?
Well, actually, this was our second best deck.
Okay.
Our best deck was the Junk Constellations deck that 12 out of the 14 people are playing. And Shaheen is playing Esper, and I'm playing White Weenie. You know, I'm sure nobody is surprised about that.
How important to you, when you're playing in a tournament, is comfort level in terms of deck choice?
I think it's really important, especially in this format. There's a lot of decks that are kind of really close on power level, and so playing something that is sort of most in your wheelhouse, right, I think is really beneficial.
You have a lot of like muscle memory playing that type of deck where you know like what you're doing and how to like get out of certain situations.
Yeah. I take my white creatures and I turn them sideways.
See, all right, there you go. All right, let's take a look at what those creatures are. Let's take a look at, wow, Favored Hoplite 4, Battle-Wise Hoplite 4, Hero of Iris 4, and Fabled Hero 4. I've been waiting to see Fabled Hero in a deck for a while.
Yeah, he's pretty strong. It's if you put him down, then it only takes a couple of enchantments and they're just dead.
Rank these four in terms of your power level in your deck. Like which are who's the MVP, who's the least MVP so far?
Well, this guy deals the most damage.
Sure.
So if you can get him down and protect him, the game's gonna be over in a couple turns. Hero of Iroas kind of lets you go crazy, where you just like play a bunch of things. I had him on turn 2 in one of the testing games last night, and turn 3 I was just like Ordeal, 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 attack.
Right, all your Ordeals just cost 1.
Yeah.
So you could play 3 Ordeals on turn 3.
And so you just like gain 20 life, take 8, draw 2 cards.
Must be nice.
Yeah. And, this guy will get you out of trouble, this Battle-Wise Hoplite though.
Yeah.
Because he scries every time you target him. So every time you keep putting something on him, you're going to be finding another thing to put on him the next turn.
Okay. And then Favorite Hoplite, he's just...
Well, he's the guy to get
he's
underneath
least favorite
removal.
Hoplite?
Yeah. Yes, he is my favorite Hoplite. If I play him on turn 1, then all the removal spells in the format are kind of like 3 mana Hero's Downfall, 4 mana like Silence the Believers.
Sure.
And so if I just get him down quick, then I can start putting things on him and protecting him with God's Willing and things like that.
Okay, and is this your entire creature suite?
Main deck.
Okay.
Sideboard, I have more creatures.
Okay, well let's take a look at what you do to these 12 creatures. 16 creatures, sorry.
Yep.
All right, well here's the deal or no
yes.
Ordeal. Ordeal of Thassa, Ordeal of Heliod. If you've played a game of Theros Limited, you know what these cards are like. You've faced them down on a Hoplite on turn 1, Ordeal on turn 2, and you're like, no. Is that what your goal is? That like the groan you're looking to elicit from your opponents when you're playing them?
Well, the thing about this format is most of the good white creatures have heroic, so you need to be able to take advantage of the heroic ability. One way is to just put them all on the board and cast Launch the Fleets, but there's a lot of cards like Drown in Sorrow, Anger of the Gods that'll just wipe out that strategy. There's not really a lot of ways to protect against that. So the other strategy is to just put a whole bunch of things on one of the heroic guys and protect that one thing. Fortunately, there's enough ways to protect that one thing.
Okay. So, and then, you know, how important is which Ordeal of Thassa, just drawing cards is really what you're looking to do here?
Well, the Ordeal of Thassa, you make the creature real big, and then you can keep drawing more cards, more ways to protect him or keep growing him. Whereas the Ordeal of Heliod, it'll grow him and it'll help you win races.
Right.
So it's good against like the black aggro deck and the red aggro deck, where they're not able to kill your guy because it's too big at this point, but they're trying to race you, and then this just kind of closes the door on that.
Was one of these in the deck before the other? Like, did you be like, oh, let's try an Ordeal of whatever, and then it was good, and then you're like, let's get 4 more in here?
No, it was just kind of like, the deck started out as, you know, let's see if, you know, just all the Ordeals. That was kind of pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next slide. Wait, is this, what? Stratus
So,
Walk?
Interesting story. When I was de-sleeving my deck and about to sleeve it up for the tournament, I didn't realize, but one of each of these cards had another card Sharpied on the back of it. So I had to find a new one and replace it for my deck.
Classic draft leavings. Stratus Walk and Aqueous Form. I am speechless. so these are. I mean, I guess this has got to be great. Like letting you just push through.
Yeah. So like you make the big creature and then you need to get it through. So there's a lot of creatures like Sylvan Caryatid that'll just block. Brain Maggot later in the game can just block. You know, Elspeth tokens can just block. I guess Elspeth will just kill the guy. But like, these two cards allow you to just kill the opponent. So it's like, well, I made this big monster and now you can't block it. Right. So you have one turn to deal with it.
What point in the development of the deck did these cards find their way in?
They were in from the beginning as well. And I think Stratus Walk is kind of extra important because you can put it on things like Prognostic Sphinx just to tap it, to get rid of it. Because they can't block if it's like only block flyers. You know, a limited trick. Then
Right. Yeah. So then they have to counter it, tap it, and then you get through that turn.
Exactly.
Okay. So, how big is the scry from Aqueous Form?
It's actually pretty important. Since the deck has so much scry, it has like the Battlewise Hoplite, it has the scry lands, and then it has this thing, and it's God's Willing, and so there's a whole bunch of times where you're just scrying more action to the top. So that's the way you don't sort of just draw lands and die, because you're always drawing action with the scry.
Okay, all right, let's take a look, see what else we got going on in this deck. Okay, God's Willing, I can get behind a God's Willing.
Yep.
One of my favorite cards in Theros.
God Willing.
Yeah, this card is fantastic. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice. This seems like a type of card you're always finding a use for, like this type of card in every kind of block constructed format, or even standard formats.
Yeah, I mean,
Brave the Elements and
Rootborn Defenses.
You know,
yeah. So, Swan Song was kind of like a God's Willing impression. You know, it'll stop some things like, Banishing Light and Hero's Downfall and things like that, just like God's Willing will. It also stops some things like Drown in Sorrow that maybe God's Willing won't stop, from killing all my guys.
Sweet. So yeah, Swan Song is not a card I was on my short list. Have you seen a lot of other people playing Swan Song, or is this, you feel like maybe one of your...
This is one of our innovations that I think is a little different from some of the other people who are playing this type of deck. I have seen it in someone else's list, so it's not completely original, but it's something that's definitely not on the...
Yeah, but Drown in Sorrow is a real difficult card for you, so having a nice 1 mana answer for it.
Yeah, and it's also, like I said, it's just another way to protect my guy. So if they Thought Seize me and takes my God's Willing, then, well, I still have the Swan Song to counter your removal.
Right.
So you still need another removal spell.
Any trouble with their bird tokens?
Well, I have Aqueous Form. If I Aqueous Form my guy, the bird's irrelevant.
Sure.
But if I Stratus Walk, then they can chump block for a turn.
Okay.
So that's a little problem, but not so much.
Well worth it if you've countered a Drown in Sorrow.
Yeah, like my creature is a lot bigger than the Swan, so I can usually win that race.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's see what else is in the deck. You mentioned Scrylands.
Yep.
4 Temple of Enlightenments. Also 4 Mana Confluence.
Yeah.
Is Mana Confluence an aggro land or a control land?
It's definitely more of an aggro land, because whenever you're the aggressor and you're the one putting on the pressure, the opponent's not going to be able to take advantage of that life loss. The way, if I'm a control deck, then I'm on the back foot, and the damage is putting me even more on the back foot. So what this land does for my deck is it'll allow me to just like tempo out and cast all my spells as quickly as possible. And if the life is a problem against, say, another aggro deck, then I have the Ordeals in the main deck, and I have more life gain in the sideboard, so I can mitigate that. But usually it's just like a free Tundra.
Okay, and then we have 13 basic lands. Yeah. And then let's take a look at what's going on in the sideboard here. Or did we not have... No, there we go.
Yep.
So Johnny's Presence.
Yep.
This is the limited all-star
This
deck.
is God's Willing number 3.
Yeah. So in this, this is very much like Rootborn Defenses.
Yes.
Very feels very similar to it. It lets you protect multiple creatures.
And trigger both their heroics.
Wow.
And it also, one thing that it does that God's Willing doesn't do is when they minus Elspeth to kill your big guy, well, indestructible means it won't get destroyed.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that happened in round 1.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice. And again, it's it's funny, the Strive cards, we talk about them a lot with Heroic and Limited, but you don't get to do it as much. You don't get that same like critical mass of Heroic creatures.
Yeah, well, I do, but most people don't.
But you can really, we saw again 16 Heroics in this deck.
Yeah.
You can really get a lot of value out of that card.
Yeah.
One more Swan Song, and then more Heroics. Laguna Band Trailblazer.
Yeah. Well, the Trailblazer, I mean, he is just a Yoke Dox.
Right.
But the purpose for him being...
He's no Yoke.
Yeah, Yoke's on him. So the reason he's in there is because if I play against a deck that sides into a bunch of cheap removal like Magma Spray, Magma
Sure.
Jet, well, if I play this guy, then they can't kill him with those removal spells.
So you might like swap out your favorite Hoplites or something like
Well,
that?
I'll play both.
Sure.
Just having an 0-4, it can block their creatures because they're playing a bunch of 1/1s and 2/1s and things like that. And then it'll allow me to put my stuff on him without the fear
Sure.
of dying.
Kind of surprised to not see Brimaz in your main deck.
Well, he doesn't really fit with a theme, unfortunately.
Sure.
Since we're just putting everything on one guy, well, a couple of things on a heroic guy makes him bigger than Brimaz.
Right.
So.
Okay. Hopeful Eidolon, again, the limited All-Stars getting the call up to the major leagues here. I mean, one of my most drafted commons in Theros, but it's also good in constructed.
Yeah, he's kind of also for the same matchups that the Trailblazer are for, that whenever you play Ordeal of Heliod on your guy, gain 10 life, then Eidolon gain more life, because it's already a really big creature.
Right.
And so that just really allows you to win races against the aggro decks.
Okay, well, let's take a look. I think we'll have one last slider. Is that
That should be
16?
it.
No, that's
Yep.
15. We're done. All right, Craig Wesco, that's a great look. Blue-white heroic, ordeal or no,
Deal
or
or
no
no
ordeal.
ordeal.
This is as confusing as my Nyx or Ixnay preview podcast. Jeez. Okay. All right, so good luck to you. We're going to let you
Thank you.
get back out on the floor. For Craig Wesco, this is Brian David Marshall.